Hello everyone, this here is the LEGO Technic Ferrari Daytona SP3. I was able to buy this for $400 US, thanks to the tremendous support and help of my live stream viewers over on Twitch. This is made with 3,778 pieces, and surprisingly, at least to me, it was not difficult at all to put together. It was very well paced, the whole assembly process. It did not bog down with the most part dense areas. It just felt really good to me, and that's especially strange for me, or coming from me, because I'm not a Technic specialist, and I personally typically don't enjoy the most part dense Technic builds. And this is the largest that I personally have put together to date, and it just felt smooth and consistent all the way through. The paneling on this thing is absolutely next level, and I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time here early on just looking at this from some different angles to really show all the curves and interesting shapes and how few gaps there are. If you look at Technic big vehicles through the years, they've just evolved so much, and so much of that comes down to the number of different sizes and shapes of Technic panels that are now available on the market, that are now available for them to use. There had to have been at least a half a dozen shapes of parts in this that I personally had never seen before. And again, I'm not a Technic specialist, so I'm not staying on top of the line too closely, but still, Technic pieces do show up in other lines, and I look at pictures of new releases and things, and still I was surprised repeatedly throughout this process. With interesting parts and interesting angles and positions to place those parts come interesting techniques as well, and strategies for placing entire subassemblies, and also, again, keeping the instruction process and the assembly process manageable and sensible and logical and comfortable for just a regular builder. Again, someone who's not even advanced at this stuff. One surprise that wasn't necessarily pleasant, but that I couldn't entirely make heads or tails of, was how much system building is used on the back of this. I could see it in the pictures, that all of this stuff here that's built up with the tiered black and red alternating bits was done with system plates and tiles, but I just didn't realize how much of a bulk of system pieces that entailed. All of this, it's very thick, and most of one entire bag is nothing but system parts, which is something you really don't expect from Technic. You know, they usually will use just a very small number of studded pieces to get some small details in there, but all of this, that's a lot. There's also some that's used on the nose. Those parts are plenty familiar to me, but I can definitely see how somebody who wants a pure Technic building experience would be put off by that. Thankfully, below this beautifully sculpted exterior is a core of good old-fashioned mechanical goodness. There is, of course, an engine block in there with pistons that go up and down on the crankcase. You build that up using the same old pieces that we've had around in the Technic world for the longest time, which is great because I like those pieces. The piston pieces, the connecting rod pieces, the crank pieces, and the cylinder block pieces, which are just in the modern light gray color. And then underneath, you can see the full gear train, which is fantastic. This has a working 8-speed transmission with paddle shifters inside the cockpit, behind the steering wheel where they're supposed to be, that will shift these all around. You can just go through the whole thing sequentially and see if I can reach in there and grab one of those right now. Yeah, there you go. You see, just cycles through. This also uses the most recent development of differential, not the first set to use those pieces, but the first set to have the full gear train hooked up with the more modern differential, which I believe even uses, it almost looks like Mod 1 pitch gearing for the bevels. And there's 5 small bevel gears used inside of it, so much stronger than anything that they've done before. It'll be interesting to see how people use that and how LEGO itself uses that to allow more powerful, more heavy, possibly even faster motorized things in the future. To open the door and show you the paddle shifters I was just rowing through, I'm going to push down on this lift arm, the yellow one over here, which you get to with the engine lid opened up. Just push straight down on it and there it goes. It's a complex little system of linkages, probably the most complex thing to follow in the instructions in the entire build, just because there are some awkward angles and things you have to connect kind of behind. It's difficult to get a good view of that. And in a 2D image in the pictures, but it all does make sense and it's fairly smooth. You can also actually kind of retract that from behind by pushing up underneath, but it doesn't get it to settle all the way down the way you'd like it. You see this actually should be in a little bit farther down at the bottom. So just push it in a little bit, opens nicely. That works on both sides as well. There we go. I was just a little bit stuck there. You see there's a little bit of flex in the chassis, and there's a lot of weight in this, but there we go. It's not too bad. It definitely looks nice all open. There's the steering wheel with the printed tile in the center, and of course this is connected to the front wheels. This does work, but I wanted to focus on the paddle shifter system in there, which uses the smallest of panels for the top bit of it to make it look kind of realistic in its size and shape there. But the entire thing, the entire column on either side can be moved with your fingers for us huge figures to get in there and actuate this. And this is fairly consistent to row through them. It does cycle all the way through. There was one mistake in the original instructions that was caught on like day one by fans, where just like with the Porsche, two of the gears were just simply swapped. You would notice it if you looked very, very carefully if you're checking RPMs, but it doesn't affect things for most people, and was corrected in the online or digital instructions. There's also a drive mode selector there. This by default is neutral and center, and then that's your regular drive. It also has a reverser gear. It's a little bit difficult to see the bucket seats once they're in, especially from the sides. They are pretty nicely shaped up though. I personally just don't like that blue color used for the interior. That is the color of the main first marketed model of the SP3 to introduce it to the world in real life. But in Lego form, it just reminds me of the fact that there are visible blue pins in many places on the outside of this, which I don't like. This is by no means the worst I've seen of that, but there's just so much contrast between the red and the blue. I will not stop saying that for these high-end collector sets in particular, Lego should at the very least provide the option to the builder to just put in parts that look nice. I fully understand, openly support, and regularly defend Lego's reasoning for using different colored parts in kits, especially for relatively new builders. But not every purchaser of a $400 Technic car is new, and surely many would prefer to have their high-end collector model look as refined as reasonably possible, for no difference in cost. The black ones don't cost any more than the blue ones. At least in terms of that, all of the decorations on this set are done with prints, not stickers. There's not a single sticker in this. This is its own unique print. That's a print down there. More prints here, including all 4 calipers. Printed dash, difficult to see. Another print, another one, and that's a print too. Shockingly, even this is a print, and it's a good one too. The quality is good, it's crisp, the white is pretty white. It could have been a little bit brighter, but nah, it's not bad. They printed some black on top of black over here to make the car stand out slightly more. Hey, if they can do this, well, they should always do that. There's also a tile printed on the other side, of course, with an owner-exclusive code to let you download some pictures and stuff on the VIP Reward Center on Lego.com. Also bespoke for this car, apologies for the easy pun there, are these wheels, which are absolutely beautiful. They have a nice level of surface texture, maybe slightly too shiny there. I don't know if it's the brightness of the paint or if it's the texture itself. They just shine a little bit more than I think the real life thing would if scaled down with a shrink ray, but it's really, really close and feels elegant and looks great from across the room. I also want to acknowledge that due to the pattern, the right wheels are a different mold than the left. Suspension, of course, works at all 4 corners, and the fake shocks look great from the angles where you can see them. Also, check it out, trunk space. Okay, it's that time. Time to talk about price and value. Don't balk immediately. I'm going to tell you where my mind is at. I would like to see this at about $250 US. Realistically, let's say pre-massive inflation of the past couple of years. Yeah, about 250. And with the Ferrari license, with the fact that they went all out with prints for everything, this has really fancy packaging as well. I'm not a package reviewer, so I'm not going to take 10 minutes of your time showing the box or the boxes. And the instructions weigh like 10 pounds. also. So you have to consider like that costs a lot to ship and everything. Okay, I could allow this to be up to like 300. I could see it being 300. And in 2022, I could see it being like 320 or something like that. I still, no matter how much I push myself, I'm not able to get to 400 with it. I'm just not. Having gone through the whole process of building it, yeah, it's great. And I like it. And we'll get back to that. I really like it. 400 just still feels like it's luxury pricing. That's exactly what it is. It's premium pricing. It is higher margin pricing because the folks who are going to get this want the Ferrari, want the car, and are willing to pay however much the car costs. So probably some folks who are more well-to-do will look at my initial feelings about it being worth 200, 250 or so, and just say, well, I just don't get it. $400 really isn't that much when you consider. And we'll just have to agree to disagree on that. I still believe that $400 US, even today, even though it's not as valuable as it was a couple years ago, it's still a lot of money. It's not the type of money that just anybody who's interested in this car can just drop on it. I have to consider that. So I'm not going to call this a good value. However, I will call it a good set, a very good set. I feel really, really, really good about this. I feel proud of the Lego design team for what they've accomplished here. There's a lot of stuff that came together with the part designs, with the brand management to get that set up right. The investment in budgeting this in the first place to get it to the point where it could have enough pieces to be this complete, to be this smooth, this organic and everything. The engineering of it feels very good to me, with few tiny minor exceptions. I still absolutely do not like the blue pins and axle pins showing up all over the place. And I insist that Lego has the ability to do those in black, especially for a high-end, high collectible value, high brand value, high margin, I think relatively high margin set like this, to do the pins in whatever the heck color is needed to be reasonable, to not look dumb, to not look cheap. Because I tell you, I've gone through the exercise of stepping back and letting my eyes blur a little bit and just imagining what this looks like without the blue. It looks so much better, so much more refined. It really does matter, at least to me. Even respecting and understanding the fact that this is a Lego set, it's a Technic set, right? Back in the day, back in the glory days, you didn't even have body panels at all, right? I get all that. This is not those days. This is 2022. This is a fully cowled, fully covered up, smooth machine. It puts a lot of its parts, a lot of its building process into the outside, the shell. I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. It has the interior stuff as well. It has the mechanisms, and thank goodness, it lets you see them after you've built it. So there's a whole lot here that is those wheels are so good. So good. So much of this is so good. I'm so happy about this being a print as well. Yeah, I love it. I feel very fortunate to have been able to get this. Again, huge thanks to all of the supporters over on Twitch who helped to reach a goal, to help to fund this so that I could review it for all of you. I would not have been able to do it without all those viewers. So thank you. Thank you so much. I personally am thankful for that, not just on behalf of everybody who's able to see the free video content afterwards, but just myself. I feel like I enjoyed this process. It was a much better process building it than I thought it would be. And for the time being, at least, like the Porsche that I have, I'm going to be keeping this. This is not going into the disassembly queue because I want to have more time to just look at, as a car fan myself, and as a fan of models, and as a fan of technological things and mechanical things. I want to have more time to let this soak in for me, to just appreciate it, because I think there's plenty here to appreciate, plenty more than I've even had a chance to really let soak in. It's good stuff. It's just $400. Whew. It's a heck of a lot. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this at least helped to give you, I don't know, maybe some better ideas about how you will think about it, how you will feel about it. Here's somebody else's opinions on, from the perspective of someone who's not a Technic specialist. I know I've said that too many times. Just hope that this has provided some value to you. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you again soon.